MetaVPad smashed 1000x. It in fact did almost 1300x the IDO of the year as anticipated. However, are you happy? Because the LaunchPads, the price went down and now it's not sitting at 1000x MetaVPad, it's sitting more like a 400-500x. So what is the plan now? What is your plan right now? Well, we're going to look at the market conditions. We're going to look at NFTLaunch, AdaPad, and VelasPad as the examples because there's been a dip in the price. And how should you be thinking? Because we can only do probabilities and never certainties. And we want to look at the holistic picture and not get carried away with a 1200x, because what does that mean in reality? So if you like today's video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jiggy. I'm the award-winning author of The Extraordinary New Venture Capital Opportunity, How to Invest Like a Pro. Been featured in the best-selling book, High Probability Trading Strategies, back in 2008, where I used to focus on currencies alone, but now exclusive on crypto. So let's dive straight in. So MetaVPad, building the metaverse one block at a time. We knew it was going to be highly probable of doing, my minimum expectation was a 300x, considering market conditions. 500x was highly probable, and then 1000x was likely, but market conditions did make it a little less uncertain. So I was like, maybe not, but it smashed through, right? But there's a couple of things that we need to take into account. First of all, Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is like a macro indicator of an entire market, and right now we're going through a correction. We anticipated this a while back. If you've been following my videos, we did videos back over here where we're anticipating this top and a correction, and it looks like we've got this big leg. So the very fact that it did a 1200x in these market conditions is unreal. I just thought, it was because when Bitcoin was doing this, and if MetaVPad launched here, man, 1000x was like a no-brainer. Here it was like, but it did. It smashed it. So it shows you how much hype, and the hype is real. Metaverse, everything along those lines as well. However, if you've got one of the launch pads, whether it's NFTLaunch, AdaPad, VelasPad, BSEPad, TrumpPad, the day after, the morning of the launch, man, prices went down. So this is MetaVPad, by the way. Just the reality of the situation. This is a 5-minute chart. MetaVPad, and this is the nature of the markets, right? And we just have to kind of look at the reality of it. It launched and it did an amazing move to the upside. Really, really nice movement to the upside. This was 1000x here, and then it spiked to 1200. Yeah, and if you was in one of the Binance Smart Chain pads, as in it's on the Binance Smart Chain, so it's BSEPad, AdaPad, Game Zone, NFTLaunch. I think that's the main ones. The others required a bridge or were launching on not PancakeSwap but on WagyuSwap or Uniswap. So you wouldn't have had the opportunity to sell at this point here. But for many of you on the Binance Smart Chain pads, this was the opportunity to get your 1000x. You had 10% allocation unlocked, so you could have sold here. Many people sold here and got a 1000x profit, 1200x profit on their first 10%. And then naturally there was a big correction coming down, and the price is now hovering. In reality, because this is really important to know, because this is the reality, right, of a 400x. Currently the price is 37 cents, but it's ranging between 35 cents and 50 cents. So it's around 370 to 500x. That's still really good. It's still really good, but it's like, what do you do right now? What's the score? So what I'm going to look at next is NFTLaunch as an example, right? So we had a major dip. Like, geez, like look at this. Like a really big sell-off. It was almost of the morning. I think it was from 5 a.m. of the launch, because I think 5 a.m. is the snapshot of your wallet, and that's when the memberships are confirmed for the Bluezilla ecosystem. I've never been totally sure, to be totally honest, if you start selling your tokens, if you can still get allocation. It seems to be the case. So there's a massive sell-off. So now NFTLaunch is cheap. So we need to take into consideration the business plan. Because if you bought NFTLaunch up here, well, obviously you're probably not entirely happy with your NFTLaunch price and you're holding on to it, because up here was 30 cents and down here is like 15 cents. So we need to look at a few things. So first of all, if you bought NFTLaunch when I did my video, this was back on, this is the review of the video where we did this correction. It was a correction. It was around the 3rd of November, and then we did an update, because then the price the price then shot through the roof over here. If you bought, at the 6 cents mark when we kind of did that video, well, you probably don't care too much because you got it at a massive discount, which was down here. We did a video down here saying we're finishing off this correction and we should get this wave 3, and we got this nice wave 3. But what this looks like to me, even though we're in the range of, where's this here? We're in the range of this wave 1. In Elliott wave terms, this still looks like a ABC correction. Look at this, A, B, deep C correction, even though we're in that zone. You have to kind of be a bit subjective on this. If we still kind of go, is it likely to bounce? There's a few things we have to take into account. When we're looking at NFT launch, one of the things that you need to take into consideration with your business plan is the APY. The AP what? The APY. So we're going to jump into NFT launch, the website. Number of stakers, it says 434. That's on the Ethereum blockchain. When you connect your wallet on the Binance Smart Chain, that changes to 7,300. So there's around 7,300 stakers on the Binance Smart Chain. It just by default has Ethereum until you connect your wallet. But this is what I mean by the APY. Let me pull up the annotation. Let's get some drawings going on. This here. This is important. Because if you're down 50%, like let's just say you bought towards the top, up here, let's just say it just is what it is, right? It is what it is. If you bought up here and the price is down here and you're holding, you might go, man, okay, I made 1,000x. I sold 10% at 1,000x, and then I'm holding your other 90% at 400x. What's the plan? What's the plan? So you might be down here now, 50% down, and you spent maybe 30 grand or 50 grand here, and now your portfolio says 25, but your MetaVPad should hopefully make up for that. But we need to take into consideration, what does this number really mean? This APY, what does it mean? How can we kind of use this? Well, today's price of NFT launch, you might also consider buying the membership now. Top tier for NFT launch is 180,000 tokens, and today's price, what you just saw, was 16 cents. So it's around $29,000. So let's just say you said, actually, now everything is undervalued. There's no real IDOs listed. Like, if you look at the projects, we'll look at a couple of them in a second. Projects listed coming up. Well, there's nothing coming up. All this hype before was PostPad, and now is MetaVPad. We know that we're not in the optimal market conditions, so we should probably anticipate there's not going to be many IDOs. And then when we're in peak season, that's when we're probably going to get 3 to 5 IDOs every week, bang, 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 100x, 500x, 1000x's, and really, really kind of optimum conditions. Right now is time to secure your membership. Do you remember I did that video back in August? I don't know if you saw it. It was on TrumpAd. TrumpAd was 0.028 cents, and it was $14,000 for a some tier membership. $14,000, cheapest chips in comparison to what it is today and what it was like before the MetaVPad launch. And I said, it's not optimum peak season of IDOs. And when it's in that phase, it might be a good time to consider buying your membership with a vision of when you are in peak IDO season, the price of the memberships tends to skyrocket. And then it's kind of hard to get that top tier price because it's much more expensive. But what am I going on about here? 157% APY. Doesn't mean it's fixed. It changes every day based on buying and selling. But let's just say it averaged out at 120. So we can times the purchase price or what your tokens are worth today by 1.2. Let's just be conservative. Let's say it was 1.2 on average. Over a year, you will get an additional $34,000 worth of token rewards. However, what most people don't realize, and sometimes this is not that obvious, is on NFT launch, you get paid your rewards in Ethereum, right? In Ethereum. Now, Ethereum is also going for a bit of a correction, but let's just say you anticipate Ethereum's going to be worth double of what it is today. So if, maybe it's going to be May, June, July next year. If that's the case, your APY, rewards will be times 2. So you're probably, for over a 12-month period, going to get around $69,000 worth of rewards if it averages at 120% APY. And now let's just say divide it by 2 to be conservative. Let's say it's 6 months, around 34,000. Why am I showing you this? Because the markets are going to move. This is natural, it's normal, it's psychology, it's buying and selling behavior. It just is what it is. You just have to get what the program is, the game that we play. When you're taking profits, it's a zero-sum game, so someone to make money, someone has to lose money, and for someone else to make money, someone else has to gain money, and it's just kind of this zero-sum game. So 34,000 in rewards over a rough 6-month period means your membership is covered, even if you bought at $29,000. Yep. So you kind of got to do that math as well. A couple other things I wanted to cover today. There's 2 other launch pads that are running at a huge discount. I'm not saying you should buy. I'm just saying it's running at a huge discount because there's nothing happening right now. And one of them is AdaPad. I'm like, Lord, this is cheap as chips in comparison to what it was the other day. So AdaPad, did its IDO, and this was the IDO price, and it did a nice massive surge to the upside. I think it did a 360x, and then it's done a nice big A, B, C correction. Is at the 78.6% typical maximum wave 2, so wave 1, wave 2. Not saying this will be the low, it might go lower, but this, it seems like a low, considering that AdaPad also got the highest allocation in MetaVPad, which I was anticipating. I said it in the video. I'm thinking AdaPad would probably get the highest. It was fascinating though, because right now, keep in mind, if you do buy AdaPad right now, the APY is not that great. The APY is like 10%, but you do get paid in Cardano, but it's 10%. But what I was surprised with was, and there's 2 things I want to do here. I've connected a wallet here, so it shows us this detail. This is just any wallet. What I wanted to show, can I get there? Let me do it like this. Let's get this up here. Annotation. All right, here. So a couple of things. One is the project details. So AdaPad raised $100,000, whereas some of the others like VelasPad and BSEPad raised $120,000. But AdaPad got more allocation. So what that tells me is that there's not many top tier AdaPad members, right? There might be a lot of stakers on the lottery tiers, on the copper tiers, but maybe not the top tiers, because the top tier got $181, which was the most out of all the launch pads. Second, I believe, was VelasPad. Third, I think, was Game Zone. I think so. So that was one thing, right? One thing. AdaPad, I think, is undervalued right now. Keeping in mind that we're still waiting for all the projects to be launching on Cardano, for AstroSwap to go live and everything else. Another thing to keep in mind is you would have got 10%. So if you participate in MetaVPad, you would have got 10% on the DEX listing, right? That's called the token generation event. So yesterday you would have got 10% unlocked, and you can do whatever you want with those 10% tokens. But the other 90% are locked, and there's a linear vesting schedule. Like, what the heck does that mean? Linear vesting schedule. Well, it means from the 12th of January 2022, on a day-by-day basis, your tokens will start getting unlocked over a 7-month period. And that has to get factored into your business plan because you haven't got 100% of your tokens. And that's what I mean by, is it a good idea to do IDOs? Because it's not a simple, straightforward strategy. It's quite complicated. Like when you think about it, there's moving token price. You got your membership, and there's moving. Might buy a high and it goes low and it goes high. There's multiple IDOs. Then there's vesting schedules. Then there's APY. What APY return am I getting with my token staked? And I can claim those rewards, and that can offset some of the cost of the membership. You can do other things with it as well. And then there's the utility of the token. Like MetaVPad is going to have a utility, it's its own membership. It's probably going to launch its staking very soon, and the staking rewards for the first few days are going to be incredibly high because there's a 10% deflationary tokenomic factor where you get charged 10% when you're as a sell fee. So that all these things need to get taken into consideration. And what I've noticed is a lot of people, and it might be partly my fault because I talk a lot about launchpads, is as your first strategy, jumping into launchpads where you haven't done some other basic strategies. And there's a lot to launchpad. That's the kind of point I'm making across. I don't know why I pulled up my calculator now. So the other thing I wanted to cover was, so you got the vesting schedule, you need to take that into account. So we're looking at the business use case, because sometimes you look at, did it go as planned? Because if you bought NFTLaunch, you got $74 top tier, which means you get, let's just call it a 1200x. 1200x means you made 88,000. However, you only had access to 10%. So that's 8,000. So you could have sold $8,000 worth in your pocket if you wish to do so at that 1200x. If you kind of really was sharp, because it was like a 5-minute window, and that has to be taken into consideration. That's the reality. Or you may have been a bit slow to the mark and only been able to sell out a 500x. So you would have been able to take 3,700 profit into your pocket. And then you've got 90% of your tokens. 90% of your tokens means you've bought $74. You got 90% of your tokens locked. And currently, today's value is around a 400x. So you got another $26,000 in the bank, but you have to wait till January before you can start unlocking those. That's the reality of IDOs. That's just the reality of it. And sometimes that's not clear, but it is what it is. That's the rules of the game. That's the due diligence. That's to kind of get it all together. All right, let's finish up on one last launchpad, VelasPad. That was the second best in terms of allocation, I think. Yeah, I think it got $142 allocation on the top tier. But VelasPad, again, it did its launch in September, towards the mid to late September. And what we would have noticed is now, VelasPad was just moving up, nice. And then we always anticipate or should anticipate a correction. A, B, C, we're tagging this 62%. I'm using candles because if I don't use candles and I use a line, just so you know this, you might be thinking, why is he using candles? It doesn't get us the beginning part of the market and it kind of skews the data. So for the first swing, I like to get the first part of the market movement, which is this part here. This was like the launch, the token generation event day. It calmed down and then gradually moved up. Big correction, hits the 62 to 78.6% zone. So VelasPad gave the second highest allocation. The VelasPad APY is currently 46%. 46%, which is not bad. It's a third of what NFTLaunch is, but it's 4 to 5 times higher than what AdaPad is. And this is the part where it gets difficult, because sometimes people ask me, Jiggy, what's the best launchpad to buy? I go, well, that's a tough question. How much money you got? Are you used to using the Velas blockchain? Are you considering APYs? Are you just focused on one launchpad, one IDO, like MetaVPad, and then exit? Or are you looking to partake in 20 IDOs? Are you looking to go, all right, what's your vision of Bitcoin? And because my thesis on Bitcoin is the following, and this is what I'm basing my plan on. Let me just show you this. My thesis, my thinking, my plan is we're going to see sideways to up for a few weeks. Then we're going to see a correction, either just an ABC or it will go into a 5-wave sequence. It'll be something like this. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. This is just my thinking. It'll be more like this. And then my guess is that it's gonna go for four to 6 months of just real good bullish movements. Maybe not just in a straight line, but upside movement. So I go, right, I want to participate in at least another 10, 20 IDOs for around 3 to 4 months. So is that your plan also? So all these things need to get taken into consideration. So I thought I'd do a quick recap, because I don't know if you consider it as a good performance or a bad performance. Some are happy, some are unhappy. I'm kind of listening to comments, because some people might have been on the lower tier on, let's just say, LaunchPad, and I think you would have got $9 allocation. And you go, $9 allocation, how much did you pay for that? Well, I don't know, 50,000 tokens. I think the price was roughly around 14 cents. I think it's lower now. So you would have paid $7,000 for a LaunchPad membership for the 50,000 token. I think it's called Moon Tier. And you would have got a $9, I think it was $9.52. Some people go, hey, Jiggy, that's a bit embarrassing, $9. I go, yeah, but you got a 1200x, right? That means you've covered your membership. They go, yeah, but Jiggy, I could only sell 10%. And by the time I could bridge my tokens across, because on the Tron blockchain, the price was down to a 500x. So then we have to do the math. We go, right, we got $9, $9.50, 51. You got access to 10%, which is 95 cents worth of your tokens. It is what it is, right? And then you go, and I got a 500x for my 10%. So I was able to exit $500 on day one, which you go, okay. But the rest of my portfolio sits on, which is $9.54, 52, I can't remember what it was, times 90%, is sitting on, again, another 500x, sitting on $4.5 grand, which covers around 50-60% of your membership. But now you can go sell your membership. You can unstake it, you can sell those and get it back. You can wait, you can stake. LaunchPad has staking of 15% APY. So why am I talking about this? Well, the fact of the matter is, We know MetaVPad's probably going to do really, really well. It's got a membership itself, so it's going to do a lot of launches. However, IDO strategies are quite advanced because there's a lot of moving parts. I think most people underestimate it if you're doing it for the first time, but everything is difficult before it's easy. So it's good to understand prices naturally move up, natural profit taking. Like if someone is 12,000x, so 12,000%, which is 1200x up. Is that right? 1000x, 1000% is 10x. So yeah, it's 12,000, 12,000%. Is that right? I'm doing my math wrong. No, it's 120,000%. I think it is 120,000% is what you're up by, and then there's this correction that naturally occurs. People are going to take profits. But what about when MetaVPad launches its APY? What about when MetaVPad launches its first project? What about when Bitcoin is in peak season? Peak season, in IDO season, what is MetaVPad going to do? What's NFTLaunch going to do? What's the others going to do? So these things have to get taken into consideration, and it's not as simple as A, B, C. It's more like there's ABC plus 123 plus 392 and this, that, and this and that. This moving part, that moving part, the psychology of the market, the macro picture, the trend, metaverse, play to earn, GameFi, NFTs, etc., etc. So there's a lot of moving parts, and it's just to kind of factor that in. So whilst we're going through this correction, I think the markets overall are going to be sideways to up for a couple of weeks, but not aggressively. Then I think we're going to have a last leg of a correction till end of December, early January, and then I think we're going to see peak season kick off, like really aggressive. And that's what I'm personally anticipating. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen. So let's finish on a quote, because today was just more of a review. Henry Ford, it's been my observation that most people get ahead during the time that others waste. So now during this correction, during pessimism, during, maybe not the best times to buy, because you have to just make some decisions, right? There's no right or wrong. It's just you have to make some decisions. It's to sharpen your axe. Like if you want to learn how to read the markets, take my free Elliott Wave and Fibonacci masterclass, because I just break it down. Because you'll see time and time again, this buying and selling behavior based on mass psychology just happens time and time again. But if you can anticipate it, even if you're going to hold during a correction, at least you know, right, 62% for a wave 2 correction is actually a healthy correction. Doesn't mean it's a comfortable correction. Like if you're at $100,000 in your position and it goes down 62%, well, you're like, hang on, now my portfolio is worth 42,000 on that position. And you go, well, that's not comfortable. But what comes next? Well, what typically comes next is a 1.618 wave extension, where all of a sudden your portfolio will go higher than what it was before. But again, it's never guaranteed, and we can only do probabilities and never certainties. So let me know how you liked today's video, because it was just more of a review of MetaVPad, because there's a lot of moving parts. And you may go, actually, Jagir, I've just discovered IDOs are not for me. LaunchPads are difficult, confusing, a lot of moving parts. And others will go, wow, love it, simple, I get it, need to practice a bit more. Now I want to partake in 50 IDOs over the coming 4 to 6 months, and then look to sell your membership, leverage those APYs to mitigate losses or mitigate any risk, get that money back in your pocket and leverage those as well, and really look at what is staking and how to stake and how to kind of really maximize your gains. So like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I'll see you soon.